welcome to
Chairman.
welcome to this Arctic edition of the Cemetery Board. So here we go. I'm Dan Shapiro. I'm Secretary's Designated Chair. Christopher Wiles, I'm representing the New York State Attorney General.
Bob Welch, Commissioner's Designee for Electing Ralph Shaw.
Louis Polishuk, Director of Division of Cemeteries.
Chester Bunkowitz, Assistant Director, Division of Cemeteries.
Mike Seelman, Senior Investigator, Division of Cemeteries.
Glenn Green, Investigator, Division of Cemeteries.
Suzanne Dressel, Clerk, Division of Cemeteries.
Joe Ambrose, Associate Accountant, Division of Cemeteries.
Tony Mullo, Counsel to the Cemetery Board.
Great. All right, why don't we get right to it? The folks had an opportunity to review the minutes. Yes. Any corrections, issues? Anything to do with them?
No.
No. Nothing. That's great. Susie.
2 months in a row.
So
I
moved.
can't.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Legislation and regulation, Mr. Marillo.
We do have a legislation report. Every bill that's on there is a repeat from last session. Some interesting ones. Let's see. One of the interesting ones we want to keep our eye on is number 18. It's under the last page. Actually, a two-house bill. And, would allow dead cremated remains to be buried in cemeteries. That was added at the end of last session. It didn't go anywhere, but it's being repeated. So we'll see how it goes. Somebody in this room is smiling.
Okay.
Does that have, I know there had been talk from the gentleman behind me of there being some type of carve out for religious cemeteries and religious sections. Did you notice whether that's?
There is a carve out for religious cemeteries. It excludes religious cemeteries from the effect of the bill.
But only religious cemeteries that are.
I believe so. I don't have the language in front of me, but I believe it was.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait to see how this develops, but is there a regulatory role for the division or the board? Well, yeah, with respect to how to effectuate burial, whether, there's sectioning in the cemetery.
Right.
Those kinds of issues.
Actually, it's a very short bill. It states that it can happen only if there's by written contract between the party that seeks it and the cemetery, and the cemetery doesn't have to offer the service.
But the carve out only covers religious cemeteries and cemeteries where the lots are owned, or places where the lots, plots, or parts thereof are owned by religious associations or societies. So the quote unquote, it would seem to me that the quote unquote Jewish cemeteries that are not for profits, to the extent that their graves are not part of a society, would be following that.
Unless they're formally Jewish. If they are a public cemetery.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Right,
Right, so.
Well, if this rises to a level that requires our further deliberation, we'll certainly do that.
Tony, has there been there were a couple of bills that passed one house, the Senate last year, but not the Assembly. Any word on any of those yet?
There was one significant bill that was not reintroduced. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
It wasn't reintroduced, it wasn't significant.
Yeah, right.
By definition.
There was a reason. I can't recall. But most of the bills from last year were reintroduced, so that would include those.
All right, rules and regs.
Nothing new to report there.
Still working on those? Okay. All right, next month, maybe we'll have some.
And actually, the two gentlemen we want to meet with.
Yeah, I was gonna.
In this room, so maybe we can talk about these.
Why don't we do that? Is that all right? Gentlemen that we want to meet with, can you guys get together and work out a date? I'd really like to get this thing.
Between public and executive session.
Yeah. That'll be about 5 minutes from now. It was a very short agenda.
I actually have a couple of things in the division reports.
All right, 7 minutes.
It might be 9.
Okay. All right, that would be great, by the way. We ought to move on this. And I think we can. Division report.
Start.
No, I'll let Louis start.
Now, do you have anything on? Mailing.
I do not, nothing.
The mailing.
The mailing, we sent out the annual reports, thank you to the efforts of Sue, Alicia, and the rest of the staff here in Albany. So the annual reports are out. We expect that anytime, starting next week, we get annual reports filed back in with us here in Albany, along with any balance of assessment receipts, and they'll be processed accordingly. And, hopefully by March 15th, we'll have the bulk of everything. Several cemeteries apply for extensions, and generally they'll either give us a date when they think they'll be able to submit their annual reports, but we only allow about 9 days for additional extension. That's about it.
Now, downstate, we've instituted a practice of if someone asks for an extension, we are asking them for a reason.
That would be.
They're still going to get more time,
Right.
but everyone seems to have just taken it as a standard that they're really due an additional X amount of days after they're due, and I don't see any reason for that.
Mhm.
If they have a reason they need to do it, fine. I'm not going to give anyone too much grief.
Right.
And we also instructed them that while they might extend the filing of the annual report, the assessment they do by contract.
So one thing I actually have some, we have an issue that Mr. Fleming and Cindy Craig, our investigator at Gulfport, both brought, and a crematory operator from, Steve Sherry from Mount Pleasant in Suffolk County, brought to our attention. On December 26th, at little fanfare, the United States Postal Service discontinued registered mail for cremated remains. One could speculate that this has to do with a particular set of remains that was mailed from California by registered mail and went AWOL for a very long period of time en route to New York. But I don't know that for a fact. That article came out at the same time that the post office did this.
No such thing as coincidence.
They did this and made it effective immediately, even though their domestic mail manual wasn't going to be updated for another month. So it is the rule. Now, all mailings of cremated remains must be done by priority express mail. Neither UPS nor FedEx will take them. Or you can use a courier and do hand delivery. So we've been asked by several people, what the heck are we supposed to do? I've reached out to the post office with mixed success. I've reached out to I reached out to the New York State Funeral Directors Association to see what they're doing, because they do more of this than our people do. And they didn't really have such a great idea on it either. So I took a crack at drafting a letter to crematories. There are two issues here. One's a legal issue, the other's a price issue. The legal issue is that our statute says that the remains are to be delivered by hand or registered mail. And the price issue is that many crematories have filed rates for delivery of cremated remains. Almost none have rates filed, although some do have filed rates for overnight mailing of them, probably because they're supposed to go registered mail. So I took a crack at trying to figure out, number one, what would be an appropriate legal response, and number two, what would be how to set a price so that we don't have to have rate applications in this. I know we don't normally do this, but I actually have the draft letter. I have no problem sharing this in open session. I emailed this to you guys before, but it was last night, so I don't think I have enough for everybody. You guys are free to look at this. I'll make, if anybody needs an additional copy, I can make it. The basic idea here is that I am proposing that the division would make a blanket statement that we're not gonna take enforcement action against anyone for using Priority Express overnight as opposed to registered, if you require signature and retain a copy of the shipping label and provide the tracking number to the person you're sending it to. That way, if anything goes wrong, to the extent it is physically possible under this practice, you'll be able to track them down. Now, this is still not, in one important respect, as good as registered mail. Every time I did speak to the post office about this, every time a Priority Express package moves in the post office, the barcode is scanned. So there's a record of it leaving a post office, going onto a truck, leaving a truck, going to a plane, going to a distribution center. The advantage that registered mail has is that you get a signature of the person who moved the locked pouch in which it resides. So if something goes missing, you not only know where it went missing, but who lost it. You don't have the who lost it component with this, but you do know where it went missing. Again, it might be prudent for crematories for local deliveries simply not to do Priority Express, but I don't know that we can dictate that. And certainly if you have a New York crematory who's got a sense like the California, you can't do that by hand. So this is the only alternative. So that's the proposal. In terms of price, I did compile some pricing information from current filed rates from downstate. I didn't circulate the one from upstate, but the general, I could pass these around too. Actually, you know what? I probably don't want to. No, I can pass this around. This is fine. There are a couple of crematories downstate that do have a 24-hour charge. One of them, or an express mailing charge. One of them is as high as $104. The cost of Cindy Craig, our investigator in Buffalo, took a crack at talking to the post office. Here, I don't know if you guys want one of these. And there is a flat rate box for Priority Express that costs about $40 if you buy it at the post office. That should cover any cremated remains. I haven't come up with the number of what would be an appropriate markup to reflect the fact that the cemetery's personnel have to take time packaging the thing, filling out the label, and bringing it to the post office.
But did they have to do that?
But they did have to do that. 104 just seems disproportionate to a $40 box. On the other hand, something more than $40 is obviously appropriate. I don't know what that precise number is, but my proposal would be that we, as a division, put out there a number that if you charge that number below, you do not have to come to us for a rate application. You just file that number with us. We'll deem it acceptable. And I guess we have no choice but to grandfather the ones that are already charging more, but make clear they're not getting an increase in that because frankly they're charging too much already. It's only one or two.
I don't see a problem with that. How do we get to the number that's acceptable? You put 75 here.
I put it in the internal draft. I put 75.
That's a
I put it out
placeholder.
in the public.
Right.
One. 75 was just if it costs 40, marking it up by just under double seemed to me to be fair to cover the amount of time it takes to fold up a package and write a label and bring it to the post office.
The only question I have with that is, what did it cost to send registered? In other words, we're contemplating an increase in the fee, but I don't know what it costs to send registered. The cost at the post office, $30 or $40 to send registered, then there's no.
It was less. I could not tell you.
But that's a placeholder. You're going to be doing the work. The division is to figure out what the right fee, right rate is, right?
It's a little weird because we don't usually. I mean, we review rates. We don't usually set rates.
But if we're setting it,
the idea of setting it here is just for administrative convenience.
Right.
Making people do rate apps for this is stupid.
all I'm saying is that if in fact after review we find that it's only a $10 difference, all right, between what was done before and what was done now, then obviously $75 would be a windfall.
Maybe yes, maybe no, because some people are charging as much as mailing $60 for registered mail. prices are between
Right.
30 and 60. So the ones who are already at the high end, 75 wouldn't really be so much of a
Right.
windfall. But
$30
it'd be a $5 windfall.
I think that we could probably determine what the minimum price was from the post office, just their charge for kicking out cremains by registered mail.
See, the difference is, I don't think with registered, you don't have the standard box.
Right, but they would weigh it, right? They would do, how, does anybody know? I'm looking at Susie like she knows, but I don't.
It's a little bit odd. You know, we have local cemeteries here that have, a $30 cremation mailing fee, okay, under the registered mail process. But yet they'll deliver by vehicle for nothing.
Right, but we're
And
talking
that's
about.
amazing.
That's just,
That's amazing to me.
So they structure the way they do it. Some of these.
I mean, they're
we
they're
understand, but
deliberately
what's in the-
making an
what's in the
irrational
cost-
business decision.
Also,
because-
what's in the cost basis, we don't know. Each cemetery may be different.
I mean, in the effort of what Lewis has, provided, we really haven't gone back and looked at, all 45 crematories and what their mailing
Yeah.
fees are to get an average and speak to them, determine, how much is for the actual mailing service and how much is for the overhead in preparation of the mailings.
Right, but I
We haven't really
I just think that we could, the average cremains weigh, if it's done by weight, the post office, the average cremains weigh this much, all right? What does the post office charge to send those?
Well, I
What would
think-
they have charged
I
to send it
think
by
so.
registered? That's easy to determine.
Agreed, but I think someone kind of addressed that.
I don't remember
Discussion.
I don't remember anything from her about what registered used to cost.
No, but I think in terms of what would possibly be the maximum cost.
But she came up with a maximum markup, just like I did through hand waving. I mean, it didn't tie to what they were charging when they were doing the register. I mean, the one thing I can tell you is that, this one particular one, Queens, was charging 47 for shipping in-state, 57 for shipping out-of-state, and 104 for express mail shipping. I guarantee you that express mail didn't cost $60 more, and I also guarantee you that shipping in-state and shipping out-of-state by the United States Postal Service cost exactly the same amount of money.
That's a problem. I mean,
So-
those are problematic fees, probably, if we even paid attention.
On the other hand, another one, Ferncliff had a $65 rate for mailing and 98 for express mail.
Mhm.
That's a $30 difference. I don't know how much that was based in the actual cost and how much that was an additional markup.
Well, let's talk forward about at least the
Just set a
approach.
rate or,
I don't know, I think the division, I think right now it's a placeholder. I think the division, we can allow them to do that on their own expertise or come back to us. I think a little more work has to be done on what the rate is, but philosophically, with respect to the first issue, the statute says it's registered mail, there ain't no such thing anymore. So obviously, we're not gonna be, bringing actions against cemeteries, we're not sitting registered, and I think Lewis is very, forthrightly put that down and said, here's the circumstances under which you think you ought to do business, do it this way.
To be fair, all we're doing is creating a safe harbor for enforcement action.
Yeah.
The statute still requires registered
You
mail.
need to do a
They are
legislative
still
change, by the
violating.
way.
Well, I'm hoping that the post office will change its mind. We're not the only state in this position.
That's interesting. Okay.
It is possible that they will change their
Well, if
minds
they
and
don't,
realize the error
if
of
they
their
don't,
ways.
we really want to fix the statute, but we'll leave that for a later day. But that's the first thing, we comfortable with that? Everybody, that's fine, okay. And so the second thing is.
But do you agree that we should try to set a target price that, so we don't have to have great apps?
Yeah.
And we all, I think, I took a little persuading, but now I think we all agree that there should be a markup on this and it shouldn't just be a pass-through. Because it does take staff time to box these things up, and they don't, and I think you do have to physically bring this to the post office and get the special label. They prefer that you use the special label from the post office with cremated remains. It's not required, but they seem to prefer it, and they do have to, a box has to be marked cremated remains.
To the extent that.
So there is work
To the extent that there's work more than the work they had before, they would be reimbursed for that. I think we can establish a flat rate, at least for the interim,
With some type of markup.
with some type of markup. I think we need a little more homework on what
And
it
how
costs
much.
generally, but I'm content to leave that to the division. this won't work.
Okay. So we can just plug in a number here and issue this, and then a lot of the creditors are concerned with the mailing right now.
And they should be, but they have your say-so right now.
Well, I've been talking to this world.
Yeah, I mean, and there are only 45 of them, right? So we can talk with each and every one.
And mostly the funeral directors do the mailing anyway, so it's your department's problem, not the board's problem.
Yeah, this might be a good thing to bring back
So noted.
to the funeral director, because it's a very situation. I imagine most folks would have come up with precisely this, this approach.
What about writing a letter to the post office?
I've been trying to speak to them. I'm going to try to speak this week. I got the number of someone reasonably high up in the post office. I have her cell phone number. I just need to hunt her down. Yes, sir. Okay.
Very good. All right, should work, Louis. That's good. Thank you. That was more than 2 minutes.
The only other thing is, very broadly speaking, a division initiative, which is still in the works, is to try to figure out a way of, the upstate folks in the division spend a lot of their time helping cemeteries do their job as opposed to regulating them in the sense of keeping them in the straight and narrow, wrapping their knuckles when they do wrong. And we're trying, in fact, to do even more of that. We're working on an initiative to maybe, in partnership with localities or other parts of this office, to get out into the field more and give even more resources to, especially upstate and western New York cemeteries.
Rural cemeteries.
Or smaller cemeteries, and downstate as well. But smaller cemeteries, I'm trying to help them run their affairs and letting them know what resources might be out there to do that.
That's good.
It's the first thing when I came in that everyone in our upstate staff told me, and this is what we need to do more of. Everyone seems to be on board with that. So when the weather, when the state thaws out, you'll be seeing some of that.
Okay, excellent. Anything else? Chet?
I have nothing else.
Okay, so Chet, tell us about that.
For the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2014, vandalism fees collected were $39,520. Applications granted totaled $489,902. Applications pending are $805,098. Of the applications granted, 5 were for vandalism, totaling $58,665. 20 applications regarding restoration applications, totaling $379,091. And 2 applications for vandalism, totaling $14,447.
Green Ridge is still lingering on the agenda. I spoke to Lynn several times this week and last, just to, what's holding that one up is that this is an unusual situation. This is part of why the board tabled it back in November, in that the vandalism was against the cemetery's own property. They carry insurance.
Yeah.
Their first recourse should be to their insurance. Len has been diligently trying to get them to twist their broker and or carrier's arm to get a decision on what and whether they will cover this and to what extent, so the board can know what's left, if anything, and make a decision based on what's left. But the cemetery has not been diligent in pushing that forward, or their insurance broker, I don't know what the call was.
Well, that's going to linger.
I was trying to get that resolved for this one, and we called them several times about nowhere.
Okay. Green Lawn Memorial Park, Toronto. Get somebody here to present.
Yeah, Green Lawn Memorial Parks in Onondaga County. They put in 5 garden mausoleums. They're no interior, exterior. They've been extremely popular. It's pretty straightforward. You see Chris Costco did a financial analysis.
He did, good job.
One of the things that Tony brought up was they're required to have a notice indicating that the address where people can call with complaints. And I did not include that exhibit there. However, it was posted in November when I was originally out there, and I was there yesterday. It's still posted.
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah, I see that. How many mausoleums have they got?
They have 5 currently, I think.
And they build them sort of sequentially as they need them. They're
Yes,
not
right.
huge units, because the net, and it was noted in the report, the net is not huge. I think it's 176. But they build them sequentially as they need them. It's actually a great model. You know, I mean, I think it's a very responsible way of building models. Instead of building one giant thing that will cost them a fortune, and maybe it fills and maybe it doesn't. They do it bit by bit. It's got a 5-year payback. I have no issues with this at all. I think it's a really good responsible. But does anybody?
I mean, they stay one ahead, 3 or so. Block one is almost, so
They have 17 left in the one that they have.
Yeah. To stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, yeah. And, yeah, it's just, it's good stuff.
But the resolution doesn't say anything about approving it. I don't know whether they put the wrong one in, or they think they approved it.
Yeah, it's a close reader.
Is it a copy of the minutes?
Yeah, May 6, 2013. It just says, one item cremation garden, which is tabled. And nothing else.
It's actually in the, let's say, 3rd paragraph of the minutes. Cold Spring gives
Oh.
quote, Carl
Oh,
House
okay,
made a
okay.
motion to construct, seconded by D. Shouty, all the
Yep, fine.
Yeah, the cremation garden's a separate project.
Okay.
The price was a little lower when they approved it. It's 155 now. When you were discussing it. Before it was 143.
All right, if there's no questions or other discussion, anybody want to make a motion?
So move.
Second? And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's nice when they're nice and clear like that, I guess. That's a good job writing it up, too, thank you. Well, I thought this might be a fast agenda, at least for the open session agenda. So we've come to that point in time where I open up the floor for comments, discussion. No, that's the one that's pending, that they.
Greenridge, yeah, I gave you the update on that too.
Yeah.
I tried to get that.
Yeah.
They just aren't moving.
And it stays stable.
Greenridge, there's Sarasota. I mean, the other wrinkle would be, they want us to pay for stained glass in a chapel. The practice downstate has been to recommend paying to replace it with plain glass. I'm not sure that's been the practice upstate. The answer to this is that if their insurance covers it, the board does not have to worry about it.
They have to go to their insurance carrier first, there's no question.
And that way we just avoid that issue altogether. All we'd be covering at most is their deductible, and that we may not even have to do because someone was ordered their restitution by April 15th. So there may be nothing left, or there may be some portion that we can pick up.
All right. Open up to folks who'd like to address the board for any reason whatsoever. Anybody? No, I thought you were going to decline today.
I'm actually declining a general comment, but I just have a request.
Sure.
We mentioned it earlier, Mr. Chairman, before you were here, Dave Fleming, my secretary. Our board of directors is coming to town next month, and would again like to attend the cemetery board meeting.
Oh, love that.
I was wondering if, while we're here, that you guys might be able to set a date so that we can inform them as to the date of the meeting,
Sounds like a plan.
and then we can go from there.
Why don't we do it right now? We did it. Third Thursday? Are we doing the third Thursday
Let
again?
me check, what date is that again?
February 20.
So thank you for confirming.
Let's make sure. Louis is still going through his account.
No, I'm coming back from vacation on the 18th, but that should, unless I get stuck. If I get stuck in Toronto, I'll just drive here from there.
No, we'll just hold it in Toronto. We'll invite all the members to come.
No, we'll hold it in Buffalo.
So the 20th it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, along those lines, as long as we're talking about February, let's talk about March and March Madness and Chris going to California.
What's March Madness? What?
March 20th is not a good day
Get
for
the
both
$1
of us.
billion from
Yeah, yeah. All right, so why don't we do whatever you guys want? I don't.
Is there
plan
another,
on-
would you rather do another day that week or do it the following week?
Like Tuesday of that week is good, 18th.
No, I'm away for the week.
Oh, you're right for the
The
week,
whole
that's right.
week,
Do
so
you want to do it the following week, and do you want to keep it on Thursday?
I have no preference in that.
This is getting.
Thursday,
The 27th.
yeah, that's fine, or the 25th, but the next Thursday's okay.
It is?
Do you prefer
Well,
Tuesday or Thursday?
Next round.
Oh.
We can see what's important here.
Wanna go with the 25th for Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do that, Louis?
3:25. Okay.
Okay with you guys? March 25th?
We roll with it.
Okay. All right.
I feel better.
Glad to know we've accommodated the various interests at the board level.
Yes.
Anybody else like to say hello? I'll say hello to everybody, and then we'll take a 5-minute break. Say hello, everybody. 5-minute break, then we'll go into executive session. Oh, motion for going to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
It
All
wasn't
right,
that bad.
there you go. Well, having no motion, an executive session, we have fixed it, and I will now motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great stuff.